Hey everyone, welcome to the Limits Movie Podcast. Today I'm joined by my good pal Henry.
Hi everyone. So the last time y'all saw me was I was doing the Avengers Endgame podcast. Definitely a very good movie.
It's not what I said, but you're allowed to have that opinion, I guess.
Well, yeah, you just didn't like the time travel.
I had a bunch of issues with that, but if you guys want to see that, you can just go to the other podcast. I'm not complaining. But today he brought me here not for a Marvel movie, but for a James Bond movie, Casino Royale.
Yeah, so it's probably one of my most favorite James Bond movies behind Skyfall. I just like everything about it. It's so interesting, and I was also just interested in poker and casino stuff before this, and like gambling type stuff. Never actually did any of that for real, but
Oh, well, okay. So you have a history with James Bond, is what I've gathered from the conversations I've had with you since we decided to do this.
Yes.
So have you seen like every single James Bond movie?
I think I might have missed one, but yes, I've seen pretty much everyone.
Because I can say I have not, as in this is my first James Bond movie. For a little backstory, we were gonna do this podcast a while back, so in between us me watching this for the first time, I have seen a few more. The ones I've seen now are Doctor No, the first one, which I thought was pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
GoldenEye, which I thought was pretty good, and then this one, which is my favorite of the three, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess I'll start with the general story here. So there's a bad guy. Gotta take down the bad guy.
Yeah.
I think it's the stuff around the story that's way more interesting because it's a typical like spy movie for the story.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I feel like all the bad guys in these movies, they're all very obvious who they are. They show up immediately, and they all have like one really defining feature. For example,
got a scar on his eye.
A scar on his eye.
And his eye was like bleeding at one point too. I think that was like a nice.
So yeah, it's a condition where if you cry, it's like a blood vessel in your eye, and you start to cry blood. You're not actually crying, but it's pretty annoying.
It makes him stand out, which is good.
It does make him stand out.
In fact, as an easy like starting point, the performances in this movie around all of them are pretty good. I think the James Bond actor, Daniel Craig. I think he's very solid James Bond. I think the villain is doing a very good job, both being kind of intimidating and kind of just like a little campy too, like trying to do this like a perfect James Bond villain in that way.
Yeah, intimidating, and also unexpected about where he'll be. Like he always has something up his sleeve.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, the movie starts out. First off, one thing I did point out when we watched it real quick, because we did watch it right before this again, just to refresh my memory. This movie goes way too crazy for the title screen of all things. Like when the they're doing the title stuff. It's like that stuff looks really nice. In fact, if I wanted to say visually, I think the movie looks great, just all around.
Yeah. For all of these movies, the intro was always a very important part. Him pointing his gun down the gun barrel, that's always a very famous part, and it always has like 007 somewhere in the title. And they all have a certain theme. Obviously, Casino Royale had a bunch of cards flying across the screen.
It's very creative artistically too.
Yeah.
Very animated.
Mm-hmm.
We also got an opening chase in this movie. I thought that was a pretty fun opening chase.
Oh yeah. It introduces kind of the pace of this movie in a way. Like just right away, jump right into a really intense chase, and he almost loses the bad guy at that point.
Yeah.
We see him in the mongoose versus the whatever that other snake. Yeah. And basically he pulled out his phone, and he was had the word ellipsis on there, and then M. Bond's assistant had his like hand up, and that's the reason he got seen. And that started the chase. It was a very long one as well, like over 10 minutes.
If I have to go for like just the pacing of the movie from nonstop, it's just really good pacing. I will say I think the movie is at its strongest in the middle though. Like basically the whole point when they're in the the actual casino part. I think that's when the movie is at its strongest. And it's not to say that the first portion or that little last portion are bad. They're actually very good. I just think that middle part was like, oh my god, this is mind-blowingly good for an action movie.
And especially the poker scenes. Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh, those were incredible.
They did a very good job making it tense. Like
rewatching this, my heart was actually beating like, oh my gosh, I kind of forgot what happened here. I hope he wins.
Yeah, because he initially loses all his money, and then the guy from like the CIA comes or something and says,
and says basically, I'll give you all of most of my money, and hopefully you win.
Yeah, and then that's how he ends up eventually beating the Mad Mikkelsen character.
Yeah, Le Chiffre was his name, and what was, I think, another really intense scene. I think it was shot really well. The poisoning scene. Where yes, Le Chiffre's partner puts poison into Bond's drink, and then he drinks it, and then he goes into the bathroom. It's some really crazy shots. It has like some really crazy effects in there. Mm-hmm. Like it's a lot more grainy. It's like the intensity of all the light is increased, and it's flashing, and you just show how basically almost what he would be seeing in a way, and that's really intense.
And then also from there we get Bond nearly dying. And then the girl comes in who we haven't even mentioned yet. I don't remember the character's name, do you? For the girl?
No. But it's fine.
You know what I'm talking about, though.
Yeah.
So I think she's actually quite an interesting character in this movie, shockingly, because she is like the typical Bond girl in a way.
Yeah. James Bond always has a partner or girlfriend that he kind of gets attached to. Sometimes it's for like missions and stuff.
I think the more interesting part is just at the end where he actually tries to stay with her.
Yeah, that was like he's gonna resign, and it's never that easy. It's always a bad ending for his partner, no matter what.
And then you get the part with her drowning, which I thought was very well done.
You could really see like how much he just wanted to save her, and he couldn't, and. At the end, I mean, obviously he doesn't get too emotionally attached, but anyways.
So yeah, anything else you want to add? You have some fun facts to show off here?
Yeah, so I already said Le Chiffre, his eyes can bleed, which is pretty scary. I think another thing is that Daniel Craig actually turned down the role of James Bond until he read the script and was like, this is like just incredible, and I definitely want to do this.
Well, can you back me up on this? Because I'm pretty sure Casino Royale was the first James Bond book.
Yes, it was.
And so this is kind of like, in a way, it was like an origin to the guy.
Yeah, it basically was. And
there also was a Casino Royale movie before this, I know.
Yeah, it was in the
60s?
60s, yeah, it was the 60s.
That was just called Casino Royale. It's not as well known as this one, I know, and I can't really speak on that one's quality.
Yeah, I don't think it's been a long time since I've seen that one, but I remember it being not too bad. Not too good. But yeah,
this one's probably a improvement over it, I'm sure.
I love one thing I was gonna say about this movie that I wanted to jump in on it is the beginning, how it's like in black and white. That really
that opening scene was very cool.
Yeah.
Before the title screen.
That was really interesting. I was like, I almost forgot. Like, there's no way it was like this for the whole movie, but it looked really cool. Yeah.
Any other thoughts? Do you have any more fun facts that I kind of went off topic for a second?
Yeah. So one more thing was that during the poker game, or no, sorry, it was during the chase scene. Mm-hmm. I'm pretty sure James Bond actually got injured. When he jumped from the crane to the other crane, I'm pretty sure he like almost broke his ankle, or like he hit his ankle on something. And he got up and kept going. They wanted him to stop, but he just kept going through the entire chase scene, which I find is some very good determination.
Yeah, Daniel Craig is such a good actor in this. I can't speak on how he does in the rest of the movies because, like I said, I haven't seen what is it after this. It's Quantum of Solace,
yeah.
Skyfall. Mm-hmm. Then it's not No Time to Die. That's the last one.
Yeah, No Time to Die.
Spectre,
and then No Time to Die.
Is it just those four?
think so. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, I'll watch those at some point. I'm sure those are probably pretty good too.
Well, yeah, most of them are. Yeah, Spectre is really long, but it's really good as well.
Well, this movie wasn't. This movie was actually pretty long too.
It was.
It didn't feel as long as 2 hours and 20 minutes or whatever it was.
I think that's because we enjoyed it.
Yeah, so like I said, I really enjoy this movie. I'm glad you actually watched it for me, or you told me to watch it this time, because this is easily my favorite of the movies you've done for the podcast. Because you know, I'm not the biggest fan of the Avengers movies, but you got any final thoughts?
Well, I just really recommend it to whoever watches this or listens to it. And
actually, this is a question.
Yeah.
What would you say is like a good starting point for someone who'd want to get into the James Bond movies? Would you recommend starting with like the old ones, or would you recommend starting with something like this?
Just watch the old ones. They that's what every other James Bond movie is like built off of.
Mm-hmm.
I think it just gives you a really good groundwork to deal with. And also, if there's any books, you don't really have to read those, but it's really good to read those for like some extra details, because sometimes they're left out in the movie.
Have you read the books?
No. But,
okay.
But I know they are.
Okay. If you want, we can bring out the scoring system here, like 1 through 10. What would you give Casino Royale?
I would give it a 8.5 out of 10.
8.5 out of 10. What if you were to not do the 0.5 in there?
8.
An 8?
Yep.
This was kind of shocked me going in, because I wasn't sure what I was going to think about this, because if you've heard me with like the Die Hard episode, I'm typically not a very big fan of action movies. That's just not my thing. But this one I think was paced really well. I think it has like a little bit of a emotional core to it with stuff like that ending part. I think especially that poker scene was so good. I think the rest of the movie is really good. I don't think it really has like that low of a point for me. So I'm going 9 out of 10 on this one.
Wow. Okay, that's actually really good. Yeah.
One of my new favorite action movies. It's not quite Die Hard for me, which is my favorite action movie, but it's still one of easily the greatest action movie maybe since it. Like, I don't know if there's been an action movie of like that came out since 2006 as much as this. So yeah, I enjoyed this. Thank you for being on here.
Yeah, absolutely. Enjoyed it too.
See you guys next time for the next movie podcast. Off the top of my head, I don't remember what the next one is, but I'll see you for that one. So goodbye.